The man wasn't damn near a billionaire or whatever he is right now, I would just say like he's cursed. While we here, why not? How much is Drake worth? I mean, this just has to be the pros to this type of success because nah, $250 million. I can't believe that. I feel like he's worth more than that. He damn sure would have been suing UMG for more than that, right? He was looking for more than that on the decision. But the last 2 years, I'm I'm not supposed to be shocked right now because it's like nothing goes this man's way when it comes to big news. Now we have a new lawsuit that he's mentioned in Drake related to Spotify, and they're calling out Drake with billions of fake botted views. You can't make this shit up. You can't make this shit up. It's like of all people. But we got the paperwork. I ain't gonna act like I know it front to back or nothing like that. I've been seeing the headlines go across all day. I've been keeping an eye on things, but let's actually get into the details. There's the Rolling Stone article. I want us to get a little bit more detailed with this. Let's really, really figure out what's going on. The only thing I do remember seeing as well is that the rapper RBX is the one that is the plaintiff in this case. So we do not see Spotify, I mean, not Spotify, Drake as a defendant, okay? Let's be clear about that. Drake is not a defendant, but he's not looking good in here. All right, this is a class action lawsuit. Remember the recent class action lawsuit that we went over? Based on the state that it's being held in, sometimes it gives other people the ability to join in. And that was related to, speaking of the devil, Drake and Aiden Ross's class action lawsuit related to the stake gambling website, right? That's a class action lawsuit in Missouri that other Missourians can join in. They would have to opt out from what we read, right? So here we go, another class action lawsuit. This is Eric Dwayne Collins, aka there goes RBX, individually and on behalf of other members of the general public, similarly or that has the similar circumstances and situated pretty much. And that there goes your class action where other people can join in as plaintiffs. Versus Spotify USA Incorporated, Spotify Technology SA, and Spotify AB. All right. Not too bad. Only 28 pages. Let's see if we can figure out what's going on here. Introduction. To make it in the music business, you need a unique mix of extraordinary talent, determination, skill, and luck. And once you get on top, it's even harder to stay there. Some way, the music business is a hustle because it's a dog eat dog environment, and you need to think of ways to break new ground every day. The famous American journalist and author Hunter S. Thompson once said, "The music business is a cruel and a shallow money trench. There's also a negative side." Duh. Some people would say the devil lives there, right? All right, number two. When it comes to recorded music, every month more than 100,000 artists, songwriters, and producers are forced to compete for their share of a limited pool of royalty payments from Spotify. Success begets success, and higher stream share means not only more money, but also placement on the top 10 playlists that further increase stream share and other promotional attention. In the face of the competition, some take the hustle too far. They resort to cheating. Every month under Spotify's watchful eye, billions of fraudulent streams are generated from fake, illegitimate, and or illegal methods. And they put in quotations there, bots. Number three, as described herein, data analysis shows the billions of fraudulent streams have been generated with respect to songs of the most streamed artists of all time. Oh, damn, they just got him right there in the whole intro. Like, why isn't, well, I guess you're blaming Spotify, but you're making Drake the core of this, of proving your case as a plaintiff. Damn. All right. The most streamed artist of all time, Aubrey Drake Graham, professionally known as Drake. But while the streaming fraud with respect to Drake's songs may be one example, it does not stand alone. This mass scale fraudulent streaming causes massive financial harm to legitimate artists, songwriters, producers, and other rights holders whose proportional share is decreased as a result of fraudulent stream inflation on Spotify's platform. How ironic is that? Isn't it crazy that you have so many of the Drake defenders as it pertained to the UMG lawsuit that said, nah, this isn't about a rap battle being tainted. This isn't about him being a sore loser. This isn't about Kendrick kicking his ass. This has nothing to do with Kendrick. This is Drake's opportunity to expose the matrix, expose the system, get these record labels that's messing up the whole music industry in line, and create new order, hit the reset button, right? The new Neo. Cool. This is pretty much putting him dead in the center of the same fucking thing. The same thing. Right? So for all these people that are claiming that this system that Kendrick used against Drake, here goes a lawsuit against Spotify saying that Drake is actually the center of it because he's the most streamed Spotify fucking streamer of all time. Wow. The irony of this shit is you just can't make this shit up. Spotify publicly claims that it has policies and procedures in place to root out fraud, but its purported system is nothing more than a window dressing, inadequate at best. The truth is, like the artists who compete on its site, Spotify is engaged in a hustle of its own to satisfy constant pressure from the stakeholders to grow the business and increase stock prices. Spotify needs an ever expanding population of users to engage on its platform. Accordingly, Spotify is all too happy to turn a blind eye to the substantial number of fake users on its platform, whose activities are controlled by artificial bots to fraudulently inflate streams. The more users, including fake users, Spotify has, the more advertisements it can sell, the more profits the company can report, all of which serve to increase the purported value delivered to stakeholders. I mean, let's read the last one. Some of this is getting into the common sense territory. Plaintiff is a world renowned performer who, for decades, has used his voice to dazzle audiences across the globe. He comes forward now to use his voice for a new purpose. Plaintiff brings this case to bring justice for his brother and sister creators and entertainers. In doing so, plaintiff gives a voice to more than 100,000 rights holders who, among other things, may be unable or too afraid to challenge Spotify, a powerful force in the music business whose failure to act has caused significant problems and great financial harm. Well, at least out the gate, that's what his claim is. What people were making up for Drake, because I never heard Drake say, I'm suing UMG because I'm trying to expose the way things should fit for us artists, right? I never heard Drake say that. RBX and his legal representation, his lawyers are making that clear as far as what they're saying is the main motive behind all of this. I hope in this paperwork is going to say how he was damaged by this and how much money that he's looking for. I mean, sometimes they don't put it in the actual initial claim. Sometimes they leave it up to how things continue to play out, right? Remember that fake shit from Dame Dash? He put numbers in that AI, that Chat GPT shit that he wrote up, right? All right, nature of the action. This action is brought on behalf of the plaintiff and similarly situated class of music recording artists, songwriters, perform. When we see shit like this, I really be thinking like it is the Pod Piper trying to get everybody to follow you, because it's one thing for Spotify to fight RBX. As much as they're putting Drake in here as the center of these fake streams and the biggest example in this whole elaborate botting scheme for more advertisers, I wonder if it's going to still come off this paperwork as if even a Drake can join in to this class action lawsuit. Let's keep an open mind there. Once again, we're seeing this going. Drake isn't being sued here. He's just being used as the focal point for the fake botted streams on Spotify, so it seems. I'll still say allegedly, right? But why can't, if Drake really, really, really is going at the system and that was some of his intent with the UMG shit, why wouldn't artists, whether Drake or whoever, join in with this? Because even in the intro, they're saying things like, RBX is coming forward with a voice that other people are scared to talk about. And when you got your UMGs, when you got your Rock Nations, when you got your Spotify's, when you got your iHearts, Yeah, it's true. These mega companies and corporations, sometimes people just get down and lay down. Matter of fact, I feel like 95% of the time people get down and lay down, right? Shit, in my little niche market of battle rap, I see that all the time. A bunch of suckers that just get down and lay down. You know what I mean? Opposed to upholding what you may or may not think is right or wrong, right? So why can't Drake join into this? And I want the Drake stands that was so ringing that bell for him with the UMG lawsuit. I want you guys to push your guy to join into this. Because one thing that I'm going to stick to, regardless of whether I hate some of the shit that Drake has done over the last couple of years, I'm still going to stick to right is right and wrong is wrong. Okay. If Spotify is out here stealing and is hurting all these other artists from having opportunities, for example, we're putting all this playlist engagement, we're putting all these metrics, all these numbers, all this advertisement towards the kings of the hills, the Drakes, the Kendricks, or whoever is it we're pushing the buttons for at that time. Meanwhile, all these legitimate artists over here, which is a majority of the industry that bust their ass and make great music, they can't get those advertised. They can't get even on YouTube. YouTube doesn't have unlimited ads, right? Let me come on the bigger screen for a second. Let me talk to my fellow content creators. YouTube doesn't have unlimited ads. Like, if you're a content creator on YouTube, you might see even in what you call increased ad rate ratios in certain months, just like car dealerships. Okay, you go on a lot in November, December, you might get a better deal than you would January, February for the new line of cars, right? Because now they're trying to get some of that shit off the lot because they know they got a ton of customers that they don't want the 2025. They want the 2026. So you try to get those off the lot towards the end of the year. Even with marketing dollars, right? You have a lot of companies that slow things up fourth quarter. They get in their budgets and they analytics together to start the fresh year, and sometimes marketing dollars and advertisement dollars slow down in those time periods, right? So I wouldn't be shocked if I had a million views that hit my channel in December and I made, like, let's say $1,000, but I had a million views in January, or let's say March, and it made $2,000. That's how it goes. YouTube doesn't have unlimited ads. That's why a lot of us lost ads when these big companies came around and started saying all these fucking Al Qaeda and Taliban videos and people getting beheaded on the internet and whatnot. We're pulling our advertisement dollars from that. And they called that the ad apocalypse on YouTube. And so many people lost money. Some of us are still never rebound. If you primarily, honed in on YouTube as your main source of income and you went through that, your checks were cut in half and sometimes worse. So anyway, the whole concept of just unlimited ads, if I could upload a video and every time it gets clicked, I'm getting an ad, that's some world that you guys are dreaming about. Okay. If you notice, sometimes when you watch videos, sometimes ads won't even play. It's a little bit more, I don't want to say random. There is a algorithm and a system to it that YouTube has in play. Of course, you think YouTube just wants to give away money, right? We saw recent reports of them even trying to start attacking these AI channels, these fake content creators. Somebody that you think sounds like me narrating a video or giving a reaction or a take to whatever relevant news story that's going on, but it's some AI generated script that's just being audio through some visuals that's put together, and somebody behind the scenes is cutting a check on it. YouTube doesn't really deem that a content creator, right? Will they even attack full all out AIs in the future channels? Who knows? Who knows? They may say we only want to pay humans. I don't want to think too futuristic. I'm just saying, when you talk about advertisement, and if you caught my whole spiel there about YouTube, it's no different than in Spotify or any other these other platforms where their streams, their videos, their play clicks can generate ads that they receive from their third parties, right? To run their ads, to run their commercials, to run their sponsorships. It's not infinite. So if Drake is getting all of them because he's got a billion bots, all my streams over here, how many times do we hear rappers complain like, yo, it takes a billion streams to make $5,000? You got to ask yourself why. If there was a stronger ad rate ratio, maybe things would be different. Here's another example for you folks that you don't have to be content creators to have some of these bells clicking from the examples that I'm giving you. YouTube Shorts. No content creators make life changing money with YouTube Shorts. Well, I shouldn't say none. There may be a handful. There may be a couple out there, right? But if I do 1 million views on my channel right now in this form of content that you guys are watching right now, let's say hypothetically that's $1,000, right? If I do that same amount of views on a short, that might be $10. No bullshit. When was the last time you folks were thumbing through shorts and saw an ad? You don't. You don't see them, right? And I don't think that YouTube has figured out a way for the way people just thumb through short, fast, frequent, split-second content on their phones. What's this? Somebody's birthday. What's this? Basketball, football, soccer, Drake, boxing, and land on something that I finally like for 30 seconds and then keep going, right? I don't think they found out a way to run efficient ads on shit like that. That's why nobody makes money on shorts. Okay. But if we did, or if they did find a way to further monetize out and pull ads from their third parties and their sponsors or whatever and run them on shorts, wouldn't you be mad if I was just putting up bullshit a black screen just so that when you thumb past me, I get an ad ran, but then this other person that spends hours in the field producing and creating content, I'm pulling money from them. Now multiply that by botting and billions of what you're claiming somebody like a Drake does. All these other thousands of artists over here have an issue. And RBX, when was the last time we heard a smash hit from him, right? Okay. So this could be carved out from a class action standpoint for a lot of the more struggling artists that feel like they put in just as much pain, yet the advertisement dollars aren't available for them because Spotify allegedly is concentrating all their botting and all their streaming to the kings of the mountains where the real attractions are. Just my rationale. I don't know. Very logical and it makes a lot of sense. All right, let's continue through some of this. The nature of the action. All right, we read that. These rights holders derive revenue from having music to which they process mechanical and publishing royalties rights made available to Spotify's millions of subscribers. Okay. Plaintiff claims concern streaming fraud, the unlawful, deceptive, and fraudulent practice of artificially inflating the numbers of instances in which music is streamed from Spotify through various means, including through the use of automated computer bots. Yada, 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 yada. I feel like that's all going to be the same. Okay. Jurisdiction of venue. I don't care. I don't think y'all do either parties. All right. This is RBX here, plaintiff Eric Dwayne Collins, right? RBX is an individual and recording artist residing in Long Beach, California, and is a citizen of the state of California. Defendant Spotify. Okay, we know who they are. Okay, just laying out who they are. Factual background. Let's look at some of this. The music streaming business, music streaming services are a particular type of online media. Oh, here we go. Isn't it crazy how still from a formality standpoint, you got to lay all this type of shit out in these civil damn suits? Oh, wait, I see numbers. Music streaming is a big business. It's estimated that the music streaming generated $46 billion in revenues in 2024, with North America representing the largest market. Most streaming services offer premium ad-free content for a fee, in contrast to a free ad-supported version. Yeah, but they still got to break that down too, even when you purchase the ad-free rates. It's no different than what do they call that? YouTube Red or whatever. I got premium YouTube subscription. The reason why I bought mine is for music, because I play YouTube playlists and YouTube music in the gym, and I also play it in the car. And I don't want no fucking commercials coming through my shit. Just so happens when I started podcasting and we do reactions and we play YouTube content. Imagine if we were in the middle of having takes and making points, and then a 40-second or 50-second ad comes on. We got to sit and, you know what I'm saying? So, but even still, people that sign up for those premium services, pieces of that still have to get traded off, you know? So how that gets dispersed among the percentage among the content creators, I don't have the exact amounts in front of me, but I get paid for that too. Because if that wasn't there, then and somebody's watching my content ad free, you got to substitute that for ads on the flip side, right? So all right. Generally, every time a song or a podcast is streamed through one of these streaming services, rights holders are compensated with royalties. The amount of royalty payments owed varies depending on a number of factors, and is often less than 1 cent per stream. Damn. But for artists whose music is streamed by a large number of subscribers, the total revenue can be enormous. Let's pull that up real quick. How many Spotify streams does it take to make? I don't want to say $50,000. These artists aren't getting in the music industry to make $50,000 a year, right? In today's economy, $50,000, you're fucked. Sadly, let's say $250,000, right? To make $250,000, how many streams? I wonder. Let's see. How many Spotify streams does it take to make $250,000? Damn, sure taking a while to calculate that. Are you doing the math on all of those fractions of a penny? It says, good question. This depends on Spotify's payout rate, which can vary slightly based on region. Listener type, free versus premium. The artist deal with their label. Here's a breakdown. I don't care about what they got to break their label on their back end. I just want to know direct what Spotify is willing to pay out. And it says Spotify's average payout is 0.003 to 0.005 cent per stream. Oh man. So that means you need roughly 50 to 83 million streams to generate the area of 250,000. 50 to 83 million? How many fucking views does a YouTube channel, my whole YouTube channel have? And is it still there after I converted my channel? Let me see. Because I converted my channel in 2023 to a different category and it erased all my information. But I wonder if I could still see how many views total my fucking channel has. Will you show me? No, that's not the full. Damn. So I can't even use my channel for that, but just imagine having to put up, let's take the low end, 50 million streams. Some people don't get 5 million views for their entire online career. You know how many channels I can go to right now that I'll probably listen or watch content on before, and they don't have 5 million views and they've been around 5-10 years? Shit. All right. Let's go back to the small screen. My bad. All right. Generally, every time a song podcast streamed through one of these streaming services, rights holders are compensated royalties. The amount of royalty payments owed varies depending on the numbers of factors. We know that. All right. So you're breaking down the system of how people get paid, et cetera, et cetera. Spotify. Defender Spotify. Together are digital. We know who they are. Okay. Streaming subscriptions. Okay. I want to see the mean ass curse you out accusation, streaming fraud. There we go. That's what I want to see. For several years, certain bad actors have engaged in streaming fraud, whereby music streams are artificially and fraudulently increased for certain artists in order to increase the revenue share for the rights holders of those artists, thereby capturing ill-gotten music royalties that would otherwise be owed to the other rights holders whose own revenue share have been diminished by fraud. So that makes me ask a question. If I'm Spotify, can I turn around then and say I'm just being robbed too? If I'm Spotify, taxpaying, law-abiding citizens and all that, I ain't taking that. You're gonna have to prove that I'm doing the abiding to drive the advertisement dollars, and then I also happen to be pushing them in certain areas, right? But how do I know that I'm not getting robbed too, right? Because here I am, I'm Spotify. Mercedes comes to me and they say, we're going to give you $5 million for the year of 2025. This is from our marketing budget to run some of our new CLS Mercedes model ads on your popular playlists and music. Cool. Now, I come along now with a Spotify account and I figure out how to bot my fucking page and pull more revenue. I'm robbing Spotify and Mercedes. No, I mean, we don't see it like that. Like, of course, Spotify could be in on a mix, of course, but let's not just act like these platforms don't be getting robbed. There's a lot of bullshit YouTube channels out there that I see. And if they're monetized channels and they're getting ads ran on them, somebody's collecting that check. And I don't think it's YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Y'all hear me on that one? But let's see. Streaming fraud. Yeah, we just read that one. Cool. Oftentimes, streaming fraud is carried out by deploying bots, which are automated. All right, we know what that is. Oftentimes, those engaged in streaming fraud employ bot vendors. Okay. Bot vendors typically design bots to mimic human behavior and resemble real social media or streaming accounts in order to avoid detection. Yeah, because there's a lot of built in mechanisms in these platforms, these streaming platforms, YouTube, for example, that can determine that something just click, 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 click. That's fake. Your account will get shut down, probably. You know what I'm saying? They have these ways of realizing like something that's fraudulent. No different than some of y'all got Gmail accounts, Google accounts, right? You ever get an email that says, yo, somebody logged in from a different area than normal? Is that you? There's all these different built-in mechanisms to see what's good, what's bad, what's bots, what's fake, what's human, what's a cyber attack, all this type of shit, because there's billions of dollars at play here. So, all right. But I wonder, this whole botting farm stuff that's been out there for a long time, it's probably just as intelligent with the evolution of these platforms that are shelling out millions and millions and millions of dollars comes the evolution of the thieves, i.e. the bot vendors or the botting mechanics. Like you have to evolve with it. A new safe comes out, the Jew thieves figure out how to crack these new safes. Why do you think shit just keeps going and going and going? You don't just get one rendition of security and it stops there. Nah, because motherfuckers keep figuring out how to fake shit and how to crack into your shit. Hereafter, VPNs, which are encrypted internet connection. Yeah, people doing all types of shit out there, B. I didn't see those ads sometimes running. People talk about, yo, you can't access this pay-per-view or this channel. Yo, just use this VPN. It's gonna look like you connecting from India. Boom, you good. I don't fuck with it. I be scared to use any of that shit, but come on, man. We see this shit every day. The use of bots is supposedly prohibited on all major music platforms, including Spotify. Yep, the plaintiff informed and believes that Spotify knew. That's the big accusation right there. As soon as I saw that word knew, Spotify knew. That's it. You gotta prove that, B. Plaintiff is informed and believes that Spotify knew or should have known with reasonable diligence that fraudulent activities were occurring on its platform. How come you're not saying are occurring on the platform, were occurring on a platform, or should have known? Well, should have known covers the blind eye theory, right? Like, yeah, I'm not doing it. I'm not in on it, but I'm pretty sure somewhere out in the world I'm getting botted, but I turn a blind eye to that. You're covering that with verbiage like that, it seems. All right. Spotify's representations. And bear with me, people. I'm gonna search through this and pull out all the Drake entries for y'all in a second. Spotify has further represented that belatedly beginning in early 2025, it will impose financial penalties on labels and distributors in the form of per track charges when flagrant artificial streaming activity is detected. Okay. All right. Music streams of Drake. Here goes an entry here. Music streams of Drake's music is artificially boosted by bots. Drake is a well-known songwriter where music is available for streaming on Spotify. In fact, Drake is purportedly the most streamed artist of all time on the platform. In September 2025, Drake became the first. Okay. However, on information and belief, there is voluminous information of which Spotify knows or should know, showing that between January 2022 and September 2025, a substantial non-trivial percentage of Drake's 37, wait, is that, what is that? 37? Is that 30? That's not 37 billion, right? 37 billion streams on Spotify during that time frame were inauthentic and appeared to be the work of a sprawling network of bot accounts. Is this trailing off of Drake's UMG lawsuit? Did they use any of that investigation or any of that back behind the scenes, right? Think about it. Think about that. If you're saying that this is like what you guys are, what Drake was accusing UMG for, allegedly. Plaintiff is informed and believes that the examination of Drake's music streams reveal abnormal VPN usage, seemingly designed to obscure the true geographic origins of the bot accounts that were streaming his songs. Well, then how you gonna prove it? For example, plaintiff informed and believes that over a 4-day period in 2024, at least 250,000 streams of Drake's song No Face originated in Turkey, but were forcibly geomapped through the coordinated use of VPNs to the United Kingdom in an attempt to obscure their origin. I wonder why the origin even matters, right? Well, I guess to show geographical placement in a broader range shows further dominance, but all right. Further, plaintiff is informed and believes that a larger percentage of the account streaming Drake's music were geographically concentrated around areas whose populations could not support the volume of streams emanating therefrom. In some cases, massive amounts of music streams, more than 100 million streams, originated in areas with with zero residential addresses. Yo, now that's funny. It is, that's good evidence. All this other shit, I'm reading a lot of this, and I'm just like, yeah, it's not gonna be easy to prove some of this shit. This one right here is saying that, yo, you got a quiet town and tied it down. There's a population of this city over here of 50 people, but y'all reported a billion streams from there. That's funny, B. I mean, no bullshit. That's damn near like the strongest evidence that I've read so far. Moreover, plaintiff informed and believed that geohash data. Y'all niggas been technically in the weeds for a suit like this, huh? Geohash data shows that nearly 10% of Drake's streams come from users whose location data showed that they traveled a minimum of 15,000 kilometers in a month, moved unreasonably, locations between songs, consecutive plays, separated by mere seconds, but spanning thousands of kilometers, including more than 500 kilometers between songs, roughly the distance from New York City to Pittsburgh. All right, now they're getting real data and black and white numbers to use to prove fraud. Okay, so now you guys are doing a decent job. I was waiting for something that made me say, good luck, RBX. But here you go. All right. Also, plaintiff is informed and believes that between January 2022 and September 2025, the volume and timing of the music streams for Drake's music failed to follow typical established streaming patterns. While most songs and or albums see an initial spike in streaming immediately upon release, those same songs albums typically follow a predictable decay. Well, I don't want to apply that to the Drakes of the world, to be honest. You know, Kendrick performs the Super Bowl, and all of a sudden, Good Kid, Mad City has a spike on Spotify type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going with that one. The spiking and the nature, especially with a big artist like Drake. You know, he can say something on a big platform, and then it could take some old shit could take off. That's just how it go with some of those guys. Additionally, the number of the streams of Drake's music, a lot of this now is all Drake now, as y'all see, of Drake's music attributable to individual accounts is staggering and irregular. For instance, plaintiff is informed and believes that while the average Spotify listener listens to 10 songs per day, a massive amount of the accounts listening to Drake's music, Drake's users, listened exclusively to Drake's music for 23 hours a day. No sleep. 23 hours a day, huh? Imagine somebody pulled the data on my Spotify account and that shit said all I was doing was playing Nokia, whatever phone, whatever that shit is, for fucking 23 hours a day for 7 days straight. You would either assume A, I'm obsessed, or B is a bot. And you wouldn't even assume that I'm obsessed because I'd be here long on stream with y'all for longer than an hour. So it couldn't be 23 hours. And you best fucking believe I'm getting a couple hours of sleep. You kidding me? Oh shit. That's funny. Okay. But this is real behavior that would obviously dictate. Come on, son. This ain't no real human or profile. That's botting shit. All right. Plaintiff informed and believes that the streaming data of Drake's music shows less than 2% of his user accounts for roughly 15% of his overall streams, and roughly 9% of his streams are attributable to less than 1% of his users. As a result, Drake's music accumulated far higher total streams compared to the other highly streamed artists, even though those artists had far more users than Drake. The system, though. I mean, it's in everything. It's not just music. It's every you gotta have the machine or the people or the money or the matrix behind you to be at the top of the world in any field. Politics, movies, music, sports. If somebody could there's somewhere somebody that could press a button on you no matter who the fuck you are, damn near, I feel like. No matter who you are. Somebody could press a button and say, Colin Kaepernick, welcome back to the NFL with a starting job on one of these NFL teams. Somebody else could press a button and say, he's done. You see what I'm saying? It's real shit. It's real shit. All right. As a result of the fraudulent streaming scheme described above, with respect to Drake's music, the rights holders of Drake's music, Drake and his company, Frozen Moments LLC. I'm surprised you're not assuming that Drake is involved in this thing. If you're gonna put his LLC and all that type of shit, the Frozen Moments, I'm surprised. So their shares and revenue pool substantially and artificially increased. This generated significant revenue for Drake and Frozen Moments LLC, all at the expenses of other. So it's starting to feel a little bit like almost like the Drake shit, RBX. To be honest, like you're suing UMG, but we all feel like you're really here for Kendrick. This is starting to feel like you're suing Spotify, but like you have Drake mentioned in number 68 that he and Frozen Moments LLC are receiving great revenues from this behavior. You're not saying Spotify only. So the moment you have somebody that's benefiting from what you're claiming to be fraudulent money, why aren't you at them too? Especially because Drake would be hurting you purposefully, not purposefully, part of this, whatever, right? The amount of streaming revenue that would otherwise have been distributed to legitimate rights holders, but for fraudulent boosting of Drake, that's what I was talking about earlier, y'all. Boosting of Drake's music is estimated to be in the hundreds of millions of dollars. You eating up all the that's Pastor Troy's intro towards Master P, man. You eating up all the cake. I'm a hater of you. You eating up all the motherfucker. Yeah, share some of this shit. Maybe that's why Drake gives out the stimmies and the features, man. I'm already robbing you motherfuckers indirectly and you don't even know it. So yeah, come do this feature. allegedly, the old you think I'm helping you when I done already robbed you 20 times over. allegedly. Allegedly. Yo, there might be some artists out there that look at this and say, yo, whether you know it or not, Drake, if this is true, you're robbing me too because I'm supposed to be making more Spotify money, right? Allegedly, allegedly. But you go after the root, which is Spotify, not Drake in this situation, and because it's still their platform that this is taking place on, right? So allegedly, all right, Spotify knew or should have known about the anomalies described above had Spotify employed reasonable detection measures. There lies a good call out because whoever put this lawsuit together for RBX, if they could do some investigation and figure this shit out, why can't the actual people that's running the business? You know, when we see these situations where it's just like the bloggers, the media, the artists know, but the owners don't, are oblivious. That's even worse if you truly don't, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, why didn't Clean Paper show up? They just smack like, I gotta speak to this, but I don't know. Like I can tell you, I have nothing to do with Clean or your business. You know what I'm saying? It's still allegedly. I'll still say allegedly. But yeah, you can't claim I didn't know in a circumstance like this. You just can't. And I think the battle rap example, all jokes aside, is because when you got people spending money, they wanna know who to blame. And if the money goes to your hand first, i.e., like a Spotify, right? I want you to give me the answer. And I don't want you to tell me what other people could not be able to tell me what other people can tell me. That just don't look good. All right. The more geohashing stuff, Spotify's failure to prevent streaming fraud. Okay. So I think we nailed it. Looked like that was the core Drake piece. Tolling of the statute of limitations, plaintiff's claims against defendants, plaintiff Eric Dwayne. This is RBX. You got any money in here? I want to see if there's any money. Given his accolades, he first gained popularity through his appearances on Dr. Dre's 1992 triple platinum album The Chronic, Snoop Dogg's Doggy Dogg, 1993 Doggy Style. Okay. Crisscross, all these accolades. Okay. Class action, we saw that earlier. That's always scary to me. You just never know who's going to jump in, try to be a part of it. I don't see any money being claimed. Claims brought on behalf of the nationwide class action. Spotify first claim for relief. Here we go. Relief section. Let's see if there's any numbers. Any numbers, or are you leaving it for trial? Or settlement. Any numbers? Any numbers? Any numbers? I don't see any numbers. Claims brought on behalf of the Cal. Okay. I don't see any numbers. And we've seen both ways. We've seen where the numbers go straight in, and we've seen numbers where they're like yet to be determined type shit. Okay. All right. So there you have it. Shout out to everybody join the stream. I wanted to be one of the guys for y'all that didn't just, see the headline and say, hey, Drake's in a Spotify lawsuit for over botting people. Isn't that ironic over the whole botting thing towards Kendrick? There goes the paperwork. There goes a pretty good summary and reading out some of the specifics of why Drake is so targeted in the shit. Is targeted the right word? I don't know. But it does feel a little odd for Drake not to be a defendant on that, given what we read in the actual complaint. But we'll see. We'll see as things progress. I got that lawsuit now marked down in our cycle, so I'll continue to keep up with the docket. But speaking of Drake, here goes the last little piece. Let me bring up the terror himself, 6ix9ine. Y'all know I call him a terror over here, right? 6ix9ine says Drake can't be considered a snitch because he's Jewish and an actor.
So, okay, this one's a controversial one, Drizzy Drake. Now, a lot of people say that Drake told. If you want me to give you some more background info on Drake's alleged telling, he basically, I think he was robbed for a watch back in the day, and he allegedly sort of wrote a statement and went along with what.
Now, snitching is snitching, but we talking about levels. Drake is Jewish at the end of the day. He was on Degrassi, so I don't consider him a street nigga. You know what I mean? Even though he raps about all of that shit.
So can there not be such thing as Jewish gangsters?
There is, but he's not one of them. You know what I mean? So let's put him. So
he probably told on like some insurance.
Yeah, like he's an actor, but snitching is snitching. But at the end of the day, like, you know what I mean? There's no like you now there's rules and regulations and levels, I guess. But put him
on dead bottom, or are we going?
Yeah, put him on dead bottom.
Dead bottom.
Yeah.
That's funny for 6ix9ine to be doing a stream rating snitch. Why is Tip at the top, man? That's crazy. You know, somewhere on this stream they probably did Young Thug and oh man, they put Drake on the. I'll leave it alone. All right. Speaking of paperwork, another big headline that was going around. Honestly, I have no clue at all what it's about when it comes to Lil Durk. The only lawsuit I heard related to Lil Durk recently was Mama Duck, right? FBG Duck's mother suing him, OTF, I think the distributors and all that, over capitalizing over her son's passing. And we read that paperwork. Was that like last year? It was either last year or earlier this year. That's the only lawsuit I knew about Lil Durk being involved in. So I saw these headlines, and instead of acting like I knew what the hell it was, I just pulled the paperwork, and I'm gonna find out what this is about right here live with y'all. I have no clue. But Exceed Talent Capital LLC was the plaintiff. Mind y'all, people, the headlines is that this is now dismissed. Is the plaintiff, and this is against Derek Banks, PKA Lil Durk, Andrew Bonsu, Only the Family Entertainment Incorporated, OTF label, yada 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 yada, complaint and jury demand. Okay, what was this about? Nature of the action. Through this action, plaintiff Exceed Talent Capital LLC seeks redress against defendant for their manifest fraud and what is that? Concomitant, whatever, breaches of the party's music revenue rights, through which defendant purported to grant Exceed significant rights in connection with a sound recording by defendant Derek Banks, a well-known recording artist who is professionally known as Lil Durk. In the agreement, defendant purported to grant Exceed rights in the revenue streams generated from the exploitation of Banks' recordings, rights which the agreement expressly contemplated would be the subject of an investment offering facilitated by Exceed, and which defendant confirmed an agreement, albeit falsely, that they had the right and the ability to convey to Exceed. As alleged in more detail below, despite defendants' unambiguous contractual representations and warranties regarding their rights in Banks' recording, Exceed how now learned that Banks previously had assigned to a third party to exact same rights that defendants, including Banks, purported through the agreement to grant to Exceed, and that as such defendants' contractual representations and warranties upon which Exceed expressly relied in entering into the agreement and expanding substantial resources in connection with the investment offering contemplated thereby were abjectly full. Okay, I'm a decent reader, but that shit just felt too professional for me. I still don't know what the fuck is going on. And I'm pretty smart at times, all right? Like, what? The only thing that's coming to mind so far is he had an agreement with somebody about some type of rights related to his music or something that they were supposed to capitalize on. And what did he negate on them or something? Like, what the fuck did I just read? Let me try the next one. As a result of the foregoing, which led to Exceed's termination of the party's agreement and compelled its withdrawal of the planned investment offering, Exceed has sustained and continues to suffer significant losses and damages, including the loss of substantial funds that Exceed paid to defendant under the agreement to obtain rights that defendant neither possessed nor had the ability to grant to Exceed, and to significant costs and expenses incurred by Exceed in connection with the attendant to the investment offering contemplated by the parties' agreement. But what was it? What was the agreement between you guys? Like, what was the work or the monetary? What gave y'all monetary value to bring y'all into business? What was that? As I see a number here, okay. As defendants have failed to and refused to acknowledge any responsibility for their intentional misrepresentations and material contractual breaches, let alone take action to rectify the same, Exceed was compelled to bring the present action to obtain legal redress against defendants for the substantial damages it has sustained by reason of defendants, misconduct, and defalcations, or what is that? Defalcations, which total an aggregate in excess of 12 million. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. Okay, the parties we know already. Jurisdiction, we don't care. Factual background. Exceed. All right, you're gonna say who? Yeah, who are you? Exceed is a financial technology firm whose primary business is in facilitating through its proprietary investment platform a broad range of investment opportunities and assets related to entertainers, influencers, creators, athletes, and other talent. Okay. In or around 2000, here we go. In or around mid 2022, Exceed sought to expand its existing business to allow investors to purchase, pursuant to U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission qualified investment offerings open to investors drawn from the public ownership interests in entities holding rights in the revenue streams generated through the exploitation of sound recordings by popular recording artists such as Banks. In furtherance of the endeavor, in or around summer 2022, Exceed entered into discussions with Orthia Lee, the CEO of music industry consulting firm TTPMG, and Bonsu, Banks' then business manager and the owner of OTFEI and OTF, concerning the contemplated grant by OTF, yada, 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 collectively, of certain rights in the revenue generated from the exploitation of Banks' sound recording entitled Bedtime. So that's a song? Or is that just something separate? Because the only thing that comes into my mind is like, yo, his mute, isn't he? He's a signed fucking artist. So it's just like, what's this deal? Is this a side? You making money on the side? It's this little experimentation type of thing. Like, I'm not tripping for anybody that don't catch the reference. If you don't know New Jack, hop off the stream, go watch it, come back. We may not still be here. Replay where you left off. Better know New Jack. But anyway, so whatever this Bedtime is, hold on, let me check it out real quick. Lil Durk Bedtime. Is that a song? The fuck? What is that? What is that? Is that a song that I don't remember the song? Yes, there's a track titled Bedtime from Lil Durk featuring Doody Low. However, it appears the song has somewhat irregular release status. Okay. The track has been discussed and promoted, especially in connection with the rights investment scheme. Oh. One report listed as a yet to be released at the time of the article, yet there is legal controversy around its rights, which suggests an official distribution may be limited or unclear. I'm not even going to go on with investigating that, tracking all that down right now. I just am confused as to how a signed artist who probably already has rights to his recordings, and there's this side deal with these people. Like, I don't know who this is, this Exceed shit. All right. In any event, at least we understand the premise now. Okay. As further alleged below, OTF and are respectively Banks' furnishing company and his record label. During the course of the parties' discussions concerning the contemplated transaction, the OTF parties and Bonsu assured Exceed that they possessed the power and lawful authority to convey those rights to Exceed. Maybe that's the problem right there. Because what's hazy to me is him being a signed artist, but maybe you guys were under the impression that you were going to have rights to this Bedtime song and you didn't. And therefore, that's why we're researching, and it says that it's unofficially released. So you never were able to monetize it. Is that what's going on here? And if so, I don't know about $12 million. I mean, he is a big artist, but I'm just saying. Following the parties' discussion and negotiations, August 3rd, 2022, Exceed on one hand and OTF parties on the other hand entered into the agreement which, as further alleged below, purported the grant exceeds significant rights in the revenue streams generated from the use of the recording and any element thereof in whole or in part, and any underlying musical compositions in any and all media. I hope it's more than one song, all of this shit. Banks also executed a contractual inducement which was appended to an incorporated into an agreement pursuant to which banks expressly confirm the authority to grant the rights and furnish. Well, we be hearing Vaughn and Dirk and all this. Well, I do a feature for him. Don't clear the verses. Oh, I don't care who they is. We go off merch. I'm just saying, it almost sounds like that. It almost sounds like that. All right. I don't want to go too much deeper into the weeds of all of that. Breach of contract against all defendants. We pretty much got a gist of what it's about, right? But is this the piece that I pulled of the dismissal? No, okay. So I pulled that for y'all because that was the original complaint. I wanted us to see what this headline was about that was going around the internet. Like, hey, Lil Durk got a win. He just beat some $12 million lawsuit. That's the paperwork. We could have read more of it, but you know, it just seems so it's a little grayish to me. Maybe that's why this shit is dismissed. But here's a dismissal. Exceed Talent Capital LLC versus Durk and OTF, etc. Stipulation of dismissal with prejudice as to defendants Derek Banks, PKA Little Durk, only the family, etc. Remember, people, what prejudice means, once again, is that you can't come back and file a new lawsuit related to this particular situation. Okay, like if you sue me for beating the shit out of you, you know, and the lawsuit is about how I punched you in the face, but then after I punched you in the face, you was wobbly, and while you wobbled down the road, you got hit by a car. I don't know. When it's dismissed with prejudice, you're not going to be able to bring back some shit that's related to. So you sued me for punching you in the face. It got dismissed with prejudice. And then you came back later and tried to sue me for the car. You can't do that with the prejudice dismissal. That's my understanding of prejudice. It's just like, nah, it's done. So if you get your shit dismissed, you never want it without prejudice, because then they can come back with possible different stipulations, different terms, you know, bring it off the shelf again. So, but that's the dismissal, and it is off the books. So when you guys see that headline with Little Durk going around today, Exceed Talent Capital LLC, they had some agreement, possibly over this Bedrock song or other works that they believed Durk could had the power, I guess, to allow them to monetize or to give them rights to. Find out that that's not working out. We need some money, $12 million. They dismiss it. Why they chose to dismiss it, that's not really here. I glanced this earlier. It's not saying why, really. It's just an all-out dismissal. I would have wanted to see something like, and you don't normally see that. You don't normally see why something is ended. We're dismissing it because we lack evidence or whatever. Like, I'm not going to see that in this paperwork here, you know. But anyway, and I'm going to keep it consistent. Let's do one more of the terror, but this time for Durk.
So look, man, I just got to do it, right? I just got to do it to you, okay? I've been wanting to ask you this question. It's a controversial question, okay? You've been hating a lot on Lil Durk, all right? You've kind of been dunking on Durk since you've been in this situation, yeah. Okay? You was one of the first people that was out here pushing Slide for Von. You had it in the music video.
I was the first person.
You was Mr. Slide for Von, right? Yeah. You was mocking Durk. You was saying, you was quoting that song that he had with that Von had with Fabio. He said, "If I die, my dude's gonna slide every day. They're gonna boost the murder rate." You kept throwing that back at him, man. But can you now admit, Durk sat down for murder for hire? He slid for Von, man.
Yeah, because we basically peer pressured him to.
So you're saying you did that?
We bullied him into doing that. If the fans didn't bully him, he was gonna let his man die. Nobody slapped him, but he felt the pressure. Listen to me. When did Von die?
Was it November the 6th, 2020?
2020? When did they slide?
It was August the 22nd. I think it was August 22nd, 2022.
2022?
So just under 2 years.
So it took you 2 years to slide? Quando was doing interviews out here with not Angie Martinez, with what's his girl name from Lip Service?
Oh, Angela Yee.
Angela Yee. Like, he was outside, like, you know what I mean? It took him 2 years to slide. You know why? Because we pressured him to. You know what I mean? Because it's not. I'm not even saying it's just like, don't. Von was saying, and if I should die, they're gonna boost the murder rate.
They're gonna slide every day.
They're gonna slide every day. He's gonna use his credit card till 2 years later. Like, let's talk about it. Like, what the?
So I got to call cap on one thing, okay?
Yeah.
Because they say that they
Leave it alone. Leave it alone, people. Leave it alone. I mean, last year I did a stream saying that 6ix9ine is definitely one of the heaviest influences behind Dirk's actions. And you don't even have to say directly, like, don't take that the wrong way. Like Dirk said, all right, 6ix9ine, watch this. No, it's everything that comes with it, you know, with 6ix9ine trolling and troll. The internet is one of the most influential things in human history. And all these people in his comments, in his videos, on his tweets, in his ads, and his everything in the streets as well. Slide, you're gonna slide for Von. What's gonna happen behind Von? Von, your man gone, or y'all talk all that shit. You know, if everybody was quiet, I mean, you never know. But I do feel like that's a factor. And hence him getting up on academics, which is also in his paperwork. When academics ask him about Slava Von, he says, for some odd reason, I don't hear that no more. Right? It is what it is. All right. Shout out to our member and our mod. Unpopular popular opinion in the building says if RBX wins this, Drake could use it on his appeal to help his case. Drake may stall his appeal and actually help RBX. Yes, maybe. I don't know. I mean, legally, I don't know how that works. Because Drake's suit isn't against Spotify. His suit is against UMG. But to your point, I could see a lot of artists watching this if they don't join into the class action lawsuit, right? They could just watch it and see, was I affected too? Maybe you have your own lawsuit. Maybe Drake gets his hands or sees his legal team sees how this progresses and has other routes to now use when he appeals with UMG. I could see that. Why not? Evidence is evidence, you know? But remember, in Drake's paperwork, the route that he was going for some of the botting stuff is that guy, that key witness that they was never able to track down and get their hands on. That was supposedly a middleman between UMG and Spotify to, you know, take the payment and then bring it over. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they ever got their hands on that person. So evidence is evidence, and you never know. Drake, if now that his appeal is official, it's on his docket, right, for the lawsuit. I want to assume if you're going to try to come back for a second shot at something this big with this much money involved against such a heavy player, which is UMG, then yeah, if I could take a look and watch this as it progresses and take evidence from that and use it in my favor, why wouldn't you? You know, but it just so happens in this fucking lawsuit, Drake don't look like a good guy. He's receiving money that's being alleged to be from fraudulent botting in the RBX shit. Allegedly. So I don't know how all that plays out, because the way that RBX paperwork reads is almost just like, are you sure Drake isn't supposed to be a defendant on this as well? It's weird. It's weird. We'll follow it though. We'll see. Appreciate you for the gifts as well, homie. Shout out to the whole chat that caught those gifts from Unpopular Popular Opinion, our member and our mod. He just tossed 5 of them things out. So welcome to the green team. Once again, keep an eye out for that Charlie Clips versus Shuni coming ASAP. The transfer of the files began yesterday. It's a lot of big files that they shot over the weekend, so I expect it to hit my inbox in the upcoming days. I'll put a nice little edit down on it, and then I'll upload it to the members. You guys will get it exclusive for a week or two and see how that went. Other than that, you already know green team. You know how we do. Jay's in the building. She says, don't act like you weren't listening to Nokia and Drizzy Drake behind closed doors. A lot of 6ix9ine worshiping, LOL. I don't do any of my music play behind closed. I don't have any musical guilty pleasures. Now, I could answer the Drake part of this on some funny shit and say, I said back then, let's say 2 years ago, when it started being crazy for him and it almost didn't look cool to be a Drake fan, I said back then, I'm here for the music. I got recent streams like, yo, where's the album? Where's Iceman, whatever the fuck it is? I want the music. Drake, I will not contest his music catalog. I'm not going to be this guy to act like I never jammed and danced and partied to Drake and spun his shit and played his shit in the car. Or Drake got hits and he's going to continue to make good music. I believe. I hope. But now, off that, as far as musical guilty pleasures, I don't have any. I don't have any musical guilty pleasures that y'all would be like, yo, you listen to that? And I'm like, yeah. Like, you ever like meet somebody that's like some hardcore gangsta ass guy and he listens to like country music? You be like, what? You listen to line music? Like, yeah, I don't got none of those. You know what I'm saying? And I only really listen to 3 genres of music. All right. Dancehall, West Indian, and even culture. And shit, given my background, you would think I listen to more culture, Jamaican and West Indian music. I don't too much. I stick more to, I always spoke my whole life, stuck more to dancehall. And then, of course, R&B and hip hop. All right. Pop, I'm pretty sure there's pop songs that come across every once in a while, but I don't check for it. You know, I don't do rock and roll. I don't do metal. I don't do no country. I don't do no whatever reggaeton. I don't do any of that shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't even have any guilty pleasure. I don't have any guilty pleasure entertainment. I might got a couple movies that I'd be like, yo, y'all ain't see this? But other than that, nah, I ain't hiding my Drake listens, man. I'll go play him in the gym right now. I don't care. It's all good. Jay also says, imagine being interviewed all the time about what other artists have going on all the time and not your own. He has to feel a way about that deep down. Yeah. I mean, some people though are only relevant when they are included in others' storylines. You know, and that sucks sometimes. You know, we see crash outs on the internet every once in a while. Stop asking me about, yeah. It's like, it's the only thing that people want to click play on for. Like, it is what it is. But all right, just over an hour. I like that for this afternoon. We're gonna drop people. We're gonna get up out of here. Who's playing tonight? Monday Night Football. Did y'all see the Chiefs and the Bills yesterday? Good game. Josh with the win. You got Jaden Daniels with the injury, might be out the rest of the year. Caleb with a tough one, high scoring game versus the Bengals. Shout out to Caleb, man. Because I always was looking at like Jaden and Caleb like this with this injury and Caleb doing his thing recently. I bet you it starts to go like this a little bit. We'll see what happens when Jaden get back. But if he's out for the rest of the year, don't be surprised from what reports are saying. What else was big yesterday? What are we paying attention to? I don't even remember who's playing tonight, but I'm gonna be tapped in. All right. Tomorrow afternoon, we'll be back. Enjoy the rest of y'all Monday, y'all. We out.
Don't confuse silence with work ethic. I'm a boss, making decisions my first fetish. The verse cherished is perfect, that's a reverse blemish. I dropped it, connected the block, learn Tetris.
This is the Sorry Street Podcast. Welcome to the house of and shout out to the members.
Without my thing, still got a gun.